I'm here today with Ori Inbar.
Hey, Jacob, really good to be here.
He's a real thought leader in the AR VR space. He runs AWE, Augmented World Expo, which is becoming the go-to industry event for AR and VR. Over 5,000 companies are participating because there's an explosion in the industry in a good way. Um, he's been involved with this for, I would say, over 2 decades, really building software, looking at hardware, reading trends. He's an investor. He's launched a venture fund that is the leading and earliest investor in AR, VR focused companies. So it's a real privilege to be speaking with you today, Ori, and recording this for our guests. I really just want to talk with you about what you think the future is going to look like in AR and VR. And I'm going to start with a little bit more of a particular question, because at AWE this year, in your welcome keynote, you said 2025 is the year of the master builder. Can you spell it out for me? What does that mean? Why is this the year of the master builder, and what does that mean to you?
Yeah, we kind of dubbed this year as the year of the XR Master Builder. But maybe we need to take a step back for a moment just to explain kind of why we got into that.
Mhm.
And the main story this year is that the tech is good enough. You know, the XR tech, AR, VR, whatever you call it or look at it, it's in pretty good shape. I mean, the hardware is widely available, it's accessible, the tools have matured, and with AI, a lot of the hard work has been reduced. So there's no more excuses. It's basically ready for any use case we need today.
Mhm.
And that is kind of part of the overall story, that XR is going mainstream. With all these things in place, there's really nothing that is preventing it from going mainstream, except for content, right? So you need content in order to be able to actually have, everyone out there in the world use XR in some way. And, to create content, you need these builders, right? We
Mhm.
call them XR master builders because it's kind of a unique breed. It doesn't have to be necessarily a technical person. It doesn't have to be necessarily someone that is an expert in AR or VR. It's anyone that understands an audience really, really well, so that they can create an experience that is irresistible for that audience. So
Mhm.
when we say master, it's really a master of a certain audience, a certain kind of needs. And at AWE, we actually had a lot of examples like that of people that uh, have been like a huge fan of, one guy is a huge fan of remote control airplanes,
Mhm.
so we built a simulator for that, and all of a sudden, from nothing, 50,000 people downloaded this app, and some of them said, they'll buy the XR headset just for that specific use, right?
Mhm.
So that shows that some of the balance of power that usually has been with platforms and hardware providers is shifting towards builders,
Okay.
because they have this relationship with the users. They know the users more than anyone else. AI can never replicate that. And
Mhm.
therefore, now that they're creating content for every little niche out there, they have more influence on where XR is going. And I think we'll see more and more of the platforms and the investors pay more attention to these builders, instead of, being distracted by investments in AI, which we know a lot of investors are distracted with right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and there's also a huge land grab for AI, and I actually think that's driving a lot of the uh, investment from major companies in, for example, smart glasses. I wanted to get your take on something that, as you were talking, you're kind of talking about the application ecosystem that developers can build on top of hardware. Um, I feel like there's also another thing emerging right now where, like, take Ray-Ban Meta, for example. I don't know how application driven that is. That's more of a platform for enabling other people to build novel content. And I'm wondering about how you think about hardware, whether it's an Oculus or an Apple Air Pro versus Ray-Ban Metas or Snap Spectacles. And do you think that the application development is as important on both sides of that fence? For example, the airplane simulator on an Oculus. Clearly, that's like an important thing. You're in the reality, you're living that. Very easy to see why the application development is super important there. Is application development quite as important on the glasses side, where already with built-in meta AI, contextual awareness from the cameras, the video, the ability to automatically stream, record voice, record point of view, is the application already there and now it's just about creators wearing it and using it? What are your thoughts there?
No, I think it's absolutely key. The content is key for both, the VR headsets, but also smart glasses like Ray-Ban. I mean, so far it's been kind of not open, but we got all the indications that it's about to get a lot more open, in a lot more kind of asking for developers to come in and build specific applications, because if you look at how when the iPhone was launched initially, it had a few apps, but it wasn't open. There was no SDK. There's no app store when it opened, and it got some success. But the big success started when the SDK was shared and when the Apple Store was open and people started building applications. That's when it really started to blow up. So I think we'll see a very similar thing now. We're already seeing it on the VR, MR headsets, but also on smart glasses, where you have some basic functions that are generating interest, but now it's really about tailoring the experiences for very specific things during your day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people talk about so what's the killer app for smart glasses? And
you knew where I was going next.
I think, yeah, exactly, right. So, but I think it's not really about that. I think it's really about a set of many things that each one helps you achieve a certain task during your day. And sometimes it may even require different headsets. I currently, you can see behind me a bunch of headsets. I use different headsets for different things. I have the Meta Quest. I use it for certain games and interactions that require controllers. When it comes to immersive video or spatial content, I prefer to use the Apple Vision Pro. It has better quality and more integrated with my other Apple stuff, like my iPhone. And when it comes to just walking out there on the street and taking some videos or maybe getting some translations in real time, the Meta Ray-Ban is a much better fit, right?
Right.
So I think we're at a point where you wear the headset or the glasses for a certain purpose, for a certain task. And that's why the more we get developers on board, the more they'll create those experiences that are irresistible to users.
Yeah, I really agree with you. And you can see precedent in, I'm working with you on a computer right now with a large monitor, right? A lot of times I'm working off of my laptop, or I'm working off of a tablet or my phone, or sometimes it's just my watch, or increasingly it could be my glasses and my earbuds. And so there's all these different ways we interface with technology. And there doesn't have to be one killer application of one headset, whether that's glasses or a more immersive headset, that solves everything. I think what it does take is like, you're looking for that sucking sound in the market. You're a venture capitalist, you're an entrepreneur. And so you're looking for, where's this demand going to come from? And I would argue, and I'm interested in your take, and, probably you disagree with me. I think that large language models that have crossed the uncanny chasm of sounding like you're talking to real humans, and it's not quite there, but it's getting pretty close. I think that might be the baseline killer application that allows, millions of other flowers to blossom. Because if you can walk around and you can get the power of a real super intelligent virtual assistant, contextually aware at all points, the value and the productivity and the enjoyment of life can go up so much. And I think the other key piece is it can't just be AI that is in the wrong form factor. I really respect EssilorLuxottica in this space because they come from the fashion angle.
Yep.
And I think tech companies aren't fashion companies inherently. And I think EssilorLuxottica's, well, I know EssilorLuxottica's CEO, Francesco Malari, he said, technology must be invisible to be worn. And more so, and then in glasses than anything else, we have, thousands of different form factors of glasses, materials, finishes, face sizes. When you can put AI discreetly into those objects, to me, I would argue, I do think that is the killer app, but it manifests in all sorts of different use cases and scenarios. What do you think? Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I mean, definitely, AI is definitely the big story in XR right now, in the world in general. And, we see it as sort of a dark horse, which currently, is taking a lot of the attention away from XR in the last couple of years. Also, a lot of the investments are shifting towards AI. But in fact, AI is the best thing that happened to XR ever. And, first, we know it makes XR better, faster, cheaper. But also there's the flip side of it, where it's not just that AI is making XR better. I think XR is something that AI needs even more. And the reason is that, LLMs, and AI, Gen AI has been making a lot of progress over the last few years by basically scanning and injecting, the entire internet into its model, and it becomes smarter and smarter. But now that's pretty much all consumed. And in order to keep getting smarter, to keep getting more relevant to our lives, to our real world, they need AI needs XR. It needs, access to our human senses, the vision and hearing and walking around and touching things, to keep getting smarter and being relevant and grounded. So I think there's kind of a mutual connection between these two things. Recently, the XR head at Google did this really cool demo at TED a couple months ago.
Yeah.
He said, he's been working on XR for decades, and he wasn't aware that what his colleagues, the next room were working on the AI side would actually have even more influence on his work than anything before. And yes, I think the fact that AI is integrated into glasses that look like regular glasses, whether it's the Ray-Ban or, the upcoming Google glasses, new Google glasses.
And the ones, and taking the fashion angle with the partnerships with Warby Parker and also with Gentle Monster, Google is also saying, we understand that we need fashion sensibilities in these glasses to make them worn at scale.
Absolutely. I think the fact that everyone in the XR industry knew for decades is that it's never going to be adopted by consumers until it looks like regular glasses.
Yep.
It looks fashionable and cool. And Meta, by the way, also has kind of partnerships with different glasses companies. So I think they all realize that. And now with AI, for the first time, we can actually create a form factor that looks like cool glasses that have a lot of more functions than before. Whether you have a display or not, with the AI, you can do translations, you can interact with things that are around you. So it's definitely becoming kind of a big selling point for glasses. And it's if you think about it, it's accelerating the adoption of glasses with consumers.
Absolutely. I mean, the
that's
volumes are
with you. But again, I think, for XR in general, it's going to ride this horse all the way to the mainstream, and it's a mutual connection. So XR needs AI, but AI needs XR even more, and that's I think the message that I would like to share with any investor out there, with any enterprise or platform, that there's no AI without XR. Whenever you think about investing in an AI project, think about what's going to be the physical manifestation of that, which in other words means how do you integrate XR into that project? And that's how both wins.
Yeah, I completely agree. The word we use often to articulate that, we talk about the human computer interface. This XR is the interface between humans and AI. This is the world that you can immerse in, but it's also the context that AI can leverage in order to create good insights and create those good experiences. So this is the frontier. I think XR is the frontier of humans and computers having that optimal relationship. And it has to happen with context. There has to be hardware, there has to be software, and it has to be intuitive and seamless for the user, while at the same time being powerful from an AI perspective so that you can get all the benefits of this just absolutely massive tailwind of productivity that's coming with AI. I was struck by a conversation I just listened to where Bill Gurley was interviewing Michael Dell. And, Dell is really big on the AI side in terms of putting up servers and creating compute clusters. And uh, Bill Gurley said, Michael, you've been through the PC boom and you've been through the cellular boom and the internet boom. Do you think that the AI boom will be similar or bigger? And Michael Dell said, I'm certain that AI is a much bigger boom than any of the three of the ones that you just mentioned that I've, been instrumental in living through. And, I can believe that. You can believe it. We've been invested in this for over, you 2 decades, me for, about 15 years. So we can believe it, but I think it's important that the mainstream, the people that have lived and really driven through PCs and cell phones and the internet explosion also are saying this is bigger than anything before. And when you can think about XR being that human interface with AI, I just think that, I would say it this way. Finally, come on, we've been talking about this and waiting for this for a while, right? But it's nice to see that it's coming mainstream.
I think in addition to the fact that it's going to be bigger or at least as big, is there's also fear. Just like from any past wave of technology, there's fear that, what is this technology going to do? And with AI, it's bigger than ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that combo of AI and XR is also a great way for us to keep humans at the center of that. So you don't let, AI just go on its own. There's always a need for a human in that picture.
Can you elaborate that a little? So what do you what do you mean by that? I think there's certainly a fear about AI and displacing humans. I mean, I'm a believer in tech creates abundancy and humans persevere, but I really love this take that you have, which is that XR keeps humans at the center. So can you build out on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, think about, first of all, when you wear glasses, you walk out there in the world, you do things. Um, the you may use some AI agents in certain things, but it's always going to be kind of you kind of providing the information and the interaction for the AI through your own agency. Right. So it's not like you just let this AI, let's do your thing and I'll just stay at home and wait for you to complete that. It's
You have to say it. You have to eat the food. You have to walk down the street. You have to make the transaction. So you're still your agency to make decisions on what you want to do with the AI information. That's what you're talking about. It's still the human as the actor and decision maker. The AI is the coach, the influencer, but that I think that's what you're saying.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, there's of course a huge concern around privacy when everything we do out there is captured via sensors, cameras, and AI kind of manipulates that. There's a huge concern. So I think that's something we cannot be underestimated. We need to build that into the products. We need to build it into our business models. And some level of regulation is also needed in order to make sure that these AI agents don't go out of control.
I I agree, and I think the world would agree that privacy is a major concern, and it could potentially be a choke point for technological growth, because we could say we're uncomfortable with the privacy issues, therefore let's slow down the technology. I wouldn't like to see that happen. So I'm curious, have you thought of any frameworks, or have you Um, develop any thoughts around the right way to approach privacy in this new world where every type of video, audio, any kind of sensor is collecting data that's going to be processed, and the data they're collecting off of might not have opted into it. How are we going to deal with this? I think it's such a massive, understated issue that's a systematic issue more than it is a technology issue.
That's true. Yeah, and there's probably no simple answer or no single answer to this question. I think it's really a collection of things. And the first step is to generate awareness to that concern, and make sure that everyone takes action on it. Whether it's the product folks. I think what Apple has taken is the approach of keeping all the data on device. So even when you use AI, it's all done on device, so it's not shared on the network. That's a great first step to ensuring that it keeps it remains private.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we definitely need to look at places where that's kind of built into the product itself, whether it's the hardware or the software. I think the idea of kind of changing business models to kind of change how we were thinking about the internet, since Google and YouTube and so on as basically a free thing that where we are the product. We get a free service, but then we have to share our private information and get ads and so on. I think that has to change in a way where you want a service, you pay for the service, and exactly what you're sharing and how that information is going to be used. If you look at kind of some of the AI companies, you see that shift already. You don't see many. I mean, you see a lot of people that are kind of charging some subscription and are giving you kind of certain tools without necessarily the need to just share everything like you do on the internet. So that's, I think, already moving in the right direction. And then the third aspect is, again, it's regulation. That we see the European Union kind of maybe even more advanced than what we see in America, but that has to be kind of one component, just to kind of put some boundaries on how we should all look at that, right? So I mean, we know governments are always kind of a bit late to adopting and understanding new technologies. Here, it's probably going to be the same, but we all as an industry need to help educate governments about the potential risks and how to address it, but without stifling innovation, which is something that you always see in the tech world, resisting regulations because of that. So we need to find the right path.
Yeah, it's a really delicate balance, of course. I think that I really liked your second point about business models. Aligning the incentives are really important in business model. Like, it seems like it's existed forever, but really it's only been about 15 years or so that, for example, Google's, probably best ever in the world business model of monetizing buyer intent into advertising links really came about. And that business model switch that they invented really drove a massive productivity boom in the internet, in advertising. It shifted the way everyone does advertising. And I don't know what the business is, Ori. I don't have that, but I do think a business model shift to something that takes into account the realities of today, but is not monetizing personal information as the mechanism for financial gain, could be part of the solution for privacy. If I have to pay more money to subscribe to something, but I trust it because it's not incentivized to use my personal information for financial gain, I can see how that would lead to more confidence in privacy. But it really doesn't work in today's world where the biggest companies by market cap are largely advertising companies that are technology enabled. to understand our buying intent and can serve perfect advertisement to sell more commerce. So I think that it was a perfect model for 20 years. And that might need to change if we're going to have privacy tightened up and give people confidence to really lean into all the advantages that AI and XR can provide. I love that answer. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I think, if you look at, two of the big names that are basing their business models on advertising, Meta and Google, you see, with their advances, with the new products, with new services they offer, there's a shift towards, subscriptions, and paying for products as opposed to only relying on advertising. So I think, if you, hopefully that this kind of trend will continue. And I see at some point that people will not only, pay for a service, but also for knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you think about, AI and XR combined, some of the biggest benefits that I foresee is that it allows us as humanity to capture the knowledge, the kind of consolidated knowledge of all the humans on Earth about how the world works, how you do things, right?
Yeah.
So think about, training, there's a lot of XR work on teaching people how to do things.
Mm-hmm.
And when you use AI,
Mm-hmm.
it's even easier. I mean, all you have to do is just, track what, 10, 20, 100 people that are experts in doing something, how they do it. And then using AI, you can create sort of a real-time training guidance for how to do that thing for anyone out there. And that will be valuable for anyone to pay for that knowledge, right? So how do I, could be in a business case, like how do I operate a machine? Or how do I do something at home? How I fix something at home, right? So a lot of the DIY things could benefit from that XR AI combination, and people would be willing to pay for that. I think if it's truly a game changer for their lives.
Yeah, I think it's more than hypothetical. I think we see it now, as you pointed to. There's already a shift, and there's already more. Like, look at the premium subscriptions that people are paying for at like a massive uptake for OpenAI. I mean, people are willing to pay for these tools as the product. So I see it. Hey, I want to transition to what we call our lightning round. It's our recurring questions. 3 questions we ask every guest. The first one is, what's the most overrated feature right now in AI XR?
Well, almost like every AI demo on glasses starts with, "Hey, AI, what am I looking at?"
Yep.
And it's kind of to obviously show this new power that the glasses can actually see what's in front of you and tell you about it. But that's like, for me, it's like I can't see those demos anymore. I want to have something that is more concrete, that is more useful than just what am I looking at? Because it sounds a little bit like you're treating AI like a 3-year-old. It's like, "Hey, what is this book?" And then they tell you, like, "Yay, bravo!" It's like, come on, man, let's see this do something useful for me.
I think the demos are showing the most basic tip of the iceberg capability. So I agree that demo is overrated. Let's do the flip side. What's the most underrated metric or signal that you're seeing that shows that the adoption is happening now?
So, XR is really a spectrum of products. And if you just take 3 categories, mobile AR, VR headsets, and new smart glasses without display, or AI glasses, sometimes referred to as, you see that these categories have already entered the mainstream. When you look at mobile AR, 37% of the US population is using mobile AR for gaming, for social, for shopping. And especially when it comes to Gen Z, 92% of Gen Z is shopping in AR, mobile AR today. So that's already happening.
Wow.
VR is used by 27% of the population, especially the younger folks, which are playing in VR on a regular basis. And then smart glasses, 60 new smart glasses were launched this year at CES, and since then, many more. And they're selling in the millions.
Yeah,
We don't have adoption numbers yet, but that's hurtling towards the mainstream.
that's awesome. It's definitely taking off. Thanks for breaking it down that way. That is great. All right, our third and last question that we ask everyone. What's one misconception from the press or that the public has that you think is wasting the most time? Like, what are we focusing on that we don't need to spend time talking about? Where's the noise?
There's been kind of a few things in the last few years that have been kind of damping the excitement around XR. First you had this huge hype around the metaverse in 2022 when Meta changed their name and their focus. And that was very premature. I mean, it kind of created a vision for something that seems really far away. Whereas a lot of the XR stuff, like we just said, is already here right now. So that kind of created some overinflated expectations that hurt the industry. And then when AI became such a huge topic, it sucked the air from any conversation out there. So many investors, platforms, enterprises shifted their attention completely to AI, while missing the point that there's no AI without XR. You always need to think about these two things together. So that's been kind of hurting, but I think we're now starting to educate the market again about the need for these two things to be combined. And you see a lot of physical AI, machines that can see, all these kind of terms that are basically saying we understand that AI needs to come together with XR.
I think that's a great way to wrap it up. So, Ori, you've been an evangelist, a legend in the industry. You continue to do good work of bringing the industry together, putting capital to work to grow new companies, and it's really going to change the world. And so I appreciate everything you've done and the opportunity to talk with you today about this. Is there anything you want to share before that we didn't touch before we drop off?
Thank you, Jacob. It's been a wonderful conversation. So thanks for inviting me. And yes, I think, the main message is that everyone needs to understand is that there's no AI without XR. And if you want to see it in action, we invite you to join, one of the AW events out there or the community online. There's so many great examples and proof points. And I think when you join this community, you also get the energy that will help you kind of move forward and really bring XR to the mainstream.
Where can people find that? Where can people find that? Is that an Instagram, LinkedIn, website? Where do you want people to go to get?
And all of the above, but go to awxr.com as kind of your starting point, and from there you can see the different events and the social platforms. But yeah, just look up AWE XR anywhere you go.
All right, we'll link it in the show notes. And again, it's a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for everything you're doing in the industry.
Thank you, Jacob. It's been awesome.